Hi, guys. Good day once again, and welcome to another episode here with us at the Green Fingers Wildlife Sanctuary. Now, I must say, the Green Fingers Wildlife Sanctuary is not a zoo. Now, it's a place that's been carved out in this busy city of Lagos, Nigeria, as a safe zone for animals that have been rescued from the wildlife trade. Animals that have been rescued from the hunters, bushmeat markets, and animals that have seen themselves caught in between human wildlife conflicts. So we give these animals a home. They are being rehabilitated here, well taken care of. And those of them that are able to find their space back in the wild, we ensure that they do so. But some of them who have been damaged as a result of human interactions, one way or the other, those animals are kept here and are used as a means of education um, to the public because Nigeria really needs a lot of education when it comes to its wildlife. So today we'll be talking about something very exciting. We've talked about a few species. We've talked about the pangolins. We've talked about monkey. We talked about the kind of species of monkey we talked about the patus monkey. Today and last week we also talked about reptiles. And in the reptiles we talked about the near threatened species of reptile found here in Nigeria, which is actually the ball python. Now, today we'll be talking about a very interesting species, one that's also very common, and it's actually called the African gray parrot or the Congo gray parrot. But African gray parrot is what is basically known as. Now, they are actually behind me, so if you could hear a lot of their calls happening at the back. They are very, very, very loud and give off different kinds of sounds, which basically mimic what they've heard. And we're talking a bit about them today and some of the challenges they face here in Nigeria and even all across all different parts of the world. So, like I said, today we'll be talking about the African grey parrot, belonging to the family called Citidae, and these um, are one of the most intelligent birds we have here, even in Africa, because as parrots, as everyone knows, parrots tend to mimic sounds, but these guys have some other things which are very unique to them. Now, for the African grey parrot in Nigeria, here, okay, let me talk a bit about them. So they are frugivores, which basically means that they feed on fruits, seeds, bark. Some of them will take a bit of insects and snails. They are normally ground feeders. They like to feed on the ground, but you still find them feeding at treetops, on palms, where basically they love the palm fruit also. So that's what makes up the diet majorly of the African grey parrot. Now, according to the IUCN status, the African grey parrot is listed as endangered. Yes, it's a threatened species and is listed as endangered, but why is it listed as an endangered species? Now, the African grey parrot has been known to be one of the most populous birds used as pets all across the world. It's one of the because it's very intelligent, because it's also been able to mimic human sounds and mimic human speech. They are actually one of the most um, intelligent of all parrots. Now, they what do they look like? They just a natural. They have a natural gray down from their heads all the way down to their tail, but the tail actually is unique. It has a red color, and that's what they actually look like. So that's why actually they call and they are not the only parrots found here in Africa. We still have other kinds of parrots, especially here in Nigeria. We have other species of we have the Senegal parrot. Now the Senegal parrot is green in color. We have fronted parrot, also known as a jardine. Then we have the parakeets also. Those are the parrots mostly found here and are common here in Nigeria. Now, the African grey parrot's popularity on the pet trade has actually caused thousands, and I mean hundreds of thousands of these birds to be harvested from their nest every year. Now, especially here in Nigeria, they are very common on the pet trade. Now, the birds you see behind me actually were seized from a trafficker, and they were brought here to the sanctuary for to rehabilitate. So they're going to grow their wings. And if you can see behind me in the enclosure behind me, we have quite a lot of stimulation. They love being in big groups, as in flocks actually, where they learn behaviors of each other. So they feed together on the ground. Sometimes they'll come down to the ground to feed, and that's how these birds have basically interact within this space, and we're able to create that kind of like simulation of their habitat where they can move around because their wings have been clipped actually. These poachers, when they catch these birds, they cut off the wings so these birds cannot escape. So we have to allow the birds to grow new feathers for flight to ensure them that they are able to thrive back in the wild. So these are some of the challenges facing the African grey parrot. Another challenge which they face is the fact that they are losing their habitat. Now they are found in the southern part of Nigeria, and where most forests, because they love their habitat is actually the forested areas where there are trees with holes or with hollows where they can actually lay their eggs. But these birds now are being the habitats are being the trees are being cut down. They are losing their habitat. Without those trees, these birds cannot reproduce. And for the limited population we have, every year there is a kind of like a season we talk about here in Nigeria. It's called people call it the African grey season, where the birds, after they've grown to a certain um, level, they are harvested from their nests and they're now being sold on the market, and this actually is straining the population of these African grey parrots here in Nigeria, and a lot needs to be done to we need to curb that habit here in Nigeria to ensure that these birds are sustained and their numbers are sustained. Now, another aspects of challenge with some of these birds face here in Nigeria is the fact that their tails are actually used for some traditional voodoo because they have these unique red tails, red feathers. So their red feathers, the birds are caught, their red feathers are harvested. Some of these birds don't make it through the whole stress from capture up until the point these feathers are harvested. Most of these birds die in the hands of these poachers, and these are some of the challenges also affecting the African grey, and we really need to do a lot to be able to forestall these problems and these challenges facing these birds. They are quite an interesting species. They are populating the environment. They're populating forests. They are ensuring forests thrive because of their ability to disperse seeds. Now, that's how important they are as frugivores, with the help of even other frugivores also. They make up that they help in ensuring the forest stays alive. The dispersion of seeds also is balanced so that forests can actually thrive. But when they are gone, most of these things will no longer happen because the birds that do these things or the animals that do these things are no longer there, and that's why they need to be protected at all costs. The pet trade, like I earlier said, is actually causing a lot of problems for these birds. They're also susceptible in captivity. They're susceptible to a lot of problems. They're susceptible to diseases, fungal diseases, bacterial diseases. And because of stress, most of these birds end up plucking their feathers because they do not get the stimulation that they need because they are those kind of birds that are highly active, and without that, you begin to see certain kind of challenges with these birds. Yeah, so it's important that we do all we can. It's important that we share this message as much as possible so that people who are in the habit of buying African grey parrots because they want a pet, they are actually causing more harm than good. And now this is called the African grey parrot, which basically means it's original It's original. It's endemic to the African continent. Now, but now they can actually be found in almost every continent, well, except almost every part of the world, because of the international demand for these birds for pets. And now in other countries, they are breeding these birds, are being bred now, are still being sold in the market. Now, all these things happening to these animals, I mean, happening, all this is happening, are affecting the population, are affecting these are affecting these birds, because they cannot actually survive in the wild. There are other birds in other countries because they are not endemic to those countries. Now, these are some of the things that affect these wonderful birds that we have, that we basically find here in Africa. So it's important we do all we can to protect them. African greys are still much needed in the world, and we want to do all our best as we can to ensure that they stay relevant in the society, in our country, and in the African continent. So please share these videos as much as possible so that people get to know about these birds and know the threat they are facing and what we need to do to help forestall this. A lot of other organizations are doing a lot to forestall um, the population of, I mean, the exploitation of these parrots. And they are not the only parrots that's listed as endangered. You have other kinds of parrots. Any animal basically that falls under that there's the human desire to have pets or human desire to have these animals kept. Now, these animals are the animals that are actually facing such conditions of being threatened or being threatened, which basically means being endangered, and very soon they will be extinct in the wild, and which is why we do not want this to happen. So thank you very much once again. And like I said, I always say, these videos or these episodes cannot happen without your support. So you can support us by donating, using the link in the description, and that will help us be able to make more videos, take care of the animals within the sanctuary, and also help us out, reach out to more animals that are in need. And definitely, we will bring you more content on more of these animals and how these animals are faring in the world, faring in Nigeria, and how we can do all we can to support them. So thank you very much once again, and see you later. Bye bye.